How we doing, everybody? This is Let's Be Real with Brad. Today, we're going to be talking about the next James Bond film in the Eon series, Diamonds Are Forever. Before we get into this review, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It means the world to me that you guys are liking my videos and being subscribed to the channel. You guys are the best. Diamonds Are Forever is a 1971 spy film, the 7th in the James Bond series, produced by Eon Productions. It is the 6th and final Eon film to star Sean Connery, who returned to the role as James Bond, having declined to reprise the role in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The film is based on Ian Fleming's 1956 novel of the same name and is the second of 4 James Bond films directed by Guy Hamilton, who previously directed Goldfinger. The film marked the final appearance of the Spectre organization, though not by name, in Eon's Bond's films until the 2015 film of the same name. It was also nominated for the Academy Award for Best Sound. This is the most disappointing James Bond film up to date. There are many great aspects of this movie I do enjoy because I am an enthusiastic fan of the Sean Connery Bond films, but I found this film to be a campy, silly, and dumb Bond film that lacks any sense of true thrills and excitement throughout. There are some positives to this movie I enjoy. The first being the return of Sean Connery as James Bond. It is nice to see him back, being my favorite Bond so far. After Lazenby left the project after doing 1 film, being signed on for 7, Connery came back earning $1.25 million, equivalent to $8.39 million today, being one of the highest paid actors working of that time. It does lead into some negatives with his performance, but we will get to that later. There are some exciting and explosive action sequences that are very entertaining to watch. A fight scene in the elevator was the most entertaining part of the entire film. Bond does perform many of his cool MI6 agent tactics we have seen him do in other films that are still extremely cool, and Connery makes those scenes tasty. While the action may not be as thrilling as earlier entries, the campier tone still makes the action sequences very entertaining to watch. I will admit, this is a very entertaining film. There are so many silly and outrageous moments that are pure insanity. As much as the campy tone hurts the movie, it also makes for an enjoyable popcorn-filled experience. Blofeld's plan is pure ridiculousness and probably the worst evil plan of the whole series. I found it to not be a true threat to the film, and it made no sense whatsoever. This also ended up having some awful and terrible green screen effects and practical effects along with it, which is no excuse when your earlier, less budgeted films look so much better. Sound design is particularly good, as pretty much all the Bond films have. Tons of sounds of explosions, gunshots blaring, car chase sequences, the cheesy punch and kick noises. All of it is great and does add to a more enjoyable experience. Directing by Guy Hamilton is solid. It is not as good as his prior film Goldfinger, but it has some okay shots. Some were interesting and enticing to watch. The original soundtrack was once again composed by John Barry, his 6th time composing for a Bond film. Diamonds Are Forever, the title song, was the second James Bond theme to be performed by Shirley Bassey. This is one of my favorite Bond title songs so far, as it feels incredibly sexy with catchy and subdued feel to the beautiful instrumental and lyrics. The film also has a sizable amount of negatives, and we'll start with the campy tone. This, I feel, is the biggest issue of the entire film, as the cool, sexy, and thrilling aspects of the earlier Bond films are non-existent. The film starts the trend of campiness we will start to see in later Bond films. There are very silly scenes that are laughably terrible, which makes it very entertaining to laugh at. But who wants a campy Bond film? So many practical and story elements that simply make zero sense. I know you must suspend some disbelief like the other Bond films, but this film asked for too much of that, and I truly did not believe many moments that were happening throughout. Bond pretends to make out with himself as a spy tactic, uses a mousetrap in his coat pocket for enemies, drives a random stupid looking spacecraft. Just ridiculous. Found Charles Gray as Blofeld to be very uninteresting and not menacing throughout the film. He is the least exciting adaptation of Blofeld we have seen so far. Charles Gray is not a bad actor, but truly miscasted, a noticeably big missed opportunity. The other 2 henchmen in the film, Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wint, are set up to be true threatening villains of the film, but by the end they feel wasted and underwritten. There are so many cool and different places they could have taken these characters, but instead they do nothing and make them completely forgettable by the end. They are the first homosexual couple in the entire series that is very much implied, but was still massive for its time, even though it has nothing to do with the rest of the characters and the story. Last film, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, had a shocking ending, and when this Bond film opened up, it started to come off as a direct sequel, but as you keep watching, it seems like the previous film never happened, and it appears to be more like the sequel to Connery's last film, You Only Live Twice. In my last video, I mentioned that George Lazenby, who played Bond, was supposed to be playing the same exact Bond as in the rest of the films, but there were continuity errors with this as well. All of these inconsistencies make the film so frustrating and confusing to watch. It would be amazing if the Bond films were all connected in some way, and this would also be great for a more predominant story with Bond and Blofeld. Fortunately, this isn't the case, and we are left with many pendencies, which is very disappointing. Acting is a letdown as well, with Lana Wood being the most notable. She is the weakest Bond girl, even though she is hardly in the film. Her performance is so distractingly bad that I wish she could have been cut out of the film altogether. I'll say John starts off as a great Bond girl who is written as a strong, independent, and resourceful character. By the end of the film, she magically becomes a complete moron and makes things harder for Bond. To prove all this, watch this magnificent scene.
Here!
Shoot him!
Sean Connery completely phones it in as Bond, which is so disappointing because he has been excellent as James Bond. He is out of shape and seems to be very impartial in many scenes of the film. The best moments are when it looks like as though Connery is having an enjoyable time, even during the fight scene between Bambi and Thumper. This is a very disheartening element for a big Bond fan. Overall, this is the most disappointing Bond film so far that lacks the energy and excitement of the earlier Bond releases. It feels hollow and is lacking what made the other films so great. It does have its mix of great Bond moments in there that make this movie watchable and a complete guilty pleasure. I do enjoy this movie for what it is, but I can't say this is a good, respectable film. I am going to give this film a 4 out of 10. You know, guys, have you seen Diamonds Are Forever? Where does it rank in your James Bond film rankings? I want to know all those things down below. As always, I will see you all in the next video.